I saw a black silhouette figure walk through the door.
Oh my god, look at my arms, I've got goosebumps on my arms.
I'm getting freaked out already. I'm being watched by 400 years of the Pennington family's ancestors. Ghost Next Door is coming to you this week from Muncaster Castle in the South Lakes in the Lake District, which is a World Heritage Site. And we're going to be investigating the ghosts of a little girl called Margaret Pennington, who can sometimes be heard crying in one of the rooms here, and the ghost of a headless carpenter and the man who was responsible for that headless carpenter, Tom Skelton. So stay with us on Ghost Next Door as we investigate the ghosts of Muncaster Castle.
People say there's a headless carpenter haunting the place. Whether he's looking for his lost lover or his long-lost head, I've no idea, but I've certainly had no evidence or witnesses to seeing a headless guy wandering around the place while I've been here for the last 30 years. Certainly footsteps are heard, and we are here in the Great Hall, and this is certainly one of the oldest parts of the castle. And when research has been in the past, my father-in-law, who's lived here a lot longer than I have, often on his own would complain when he was looking up at night, crossing the floor and hearing footsteps following him.
Actually, do you not think it feels really welcoming?
Yeah, the vibe isn't too bad in here, but I'm sort of worried about the other rooms.
But look at all these like antiques. The furniture is beautiful.
It looks very magnificent when you look at it all.
Also, we're surrounded by paintings.
Yes, there's a lot of paintings everywhere, which is a bit weird because I feel like there's a lot of eyes watching us. But it does, yeah, very, very impressive, very impressive. But I'm a bit scared actually to go into the other rooms because I feel like every room has a different vibe.
We've literally came from the entrance hallway and just turned right up to the staircase, and straight away it feels like we've entered a completely different building. Do you not think?
Oh yeah, I'm getting loads of shivers.
I don't feel as welcomed in this spot.
The vibe up here is completely different, completely different.
It's still really beautiful though.
Yeah, like it looks magnificent and.
Oh, there's a gentleman in the corner.
There he is. The famous Mr. Fool.
So some people believe what happens in and around the tapestry room is nothing to do with his crying child, but is all down to Tom Skelton. His very impressive portrait hangs there, dominating the corridor outside the rooms, and people sometimes say they hear footsteps in that area. Even in the day, they stand there looking at the portrait and they hear someone walk up behind them, and they turn around to say hello, and there's nobody there. Well, people think it may not be footsteps, but actually the fact that Tom lured this poor carpenter to the bedroom on pretense of meeting his girlfriend, and this chap had been bragging about his conquest of the lady of the house in local pubs and shows when he got drunk, and if he kept his mouth shut he might have been all right. So Tom was asked to sort out the situation, and one version of the story is he lured the carpenter to the tapestry room on pretense of meeting Hellwise, kept him waiting, plied him with strong drink, and then when the chap fell asleep half bored, half drunk, Tom picked up the carpenter's own hammer and chisel and chopped his head off with it. And some people say it's not the thud, thud, thud of footsteps you hear, it's the thud, thud, thud of Tom dragging the headless body downstairs.
Bedrooms. That's amazing.
Wow, this is really royal. Look at this bed.
That's a double. Is that a double bed?
Yeah,
Or a
but
single bed.
I think this is medieval, so they were much smaller back then. The beds were smaller.
Literally the size.
We would not fit in that, would we?
That's just about bigger than a single bed for us. But I guess they were a lot smaller in the medieval times.
Look at it. It's so.
It is really beautiful.
It's really good craftsmanship.
But another story that we attribute to Tom is door handles turning, and it seems to be a fairly common theme that people are asleep in bed and they hear the door handle rattle and they wake up and they're expecting someone to come into the room and no one does.
We were clearing up after a wedding quite some years ago now, and the wedding people had used the croquet set which belonged to the castle. I decided I would take it away and put it back in storage in the North Tower, and not feeling afraid in any way, I went through without putting any extra lights on, got to the door where the storeroom is, or the room, and struggled to actually turn the key in the door. The door handle or the doorknob was very loose and rattly, so I kept trying, and then all of a sudden the door handle just very slowly turned in my hand, which was eerie. Anyway, I shook my head and carried on and took hold of the door handle again, and this occasion it was very, very stiff, just sillily, really, as if somebody was holding the back of it, and that quite scared me, and I ran. I ran into the family dining room here where everybody was standing, and that's it.
This is a bedroom where you're supposed to feel safe and comfortable and where you can sleep. But the atmosphere in here compared to downstairs with its welcoming aura, this room does not have that, does it?
I could not sleep in here.
It's not unwelcoming, it's just
Not as pleasant.
active. I think that's the correct term for it.
Yeah,
I think you'd have trouble sleeping in here.
Yeah, massively.
Actually, later tonight, Simon will be staying in here.
Wish him luck. I personally could not sleep in here. I would not be able to sleep at all whatsoever. But we're going to be staying in the room next door. We haven't seen it yet, but it looks a bit creepy from what we've seen
I
outside.
hope it's not like this one.
We know this bed creates its own weird magnetic fields. Why does that? We have no other beds in the castle that have the same effect on a compass. The scientists think, well, the bed's not been moved for so many years. It's got lined up with the Earth's magnetic crust, and there is a metal base to the bed, and that's become mildly magnetic, hence the action it has on a compass. I think this is probably my favourite room in the whole castle. It's a fantastic room for having an amazing dinner party. As far as a supernatural or ghostly perspective in here, not much happens. We had a lovely lady who used to clean for us many years who was quite worried about this room and reported quite a lot of poltergeist activity. It used to be laid with a very ornate table setting every day, and invariably she'd come in the morning and the knives and forks would all be moved around. The other thing we've had in here, some people have reported that they've felt the presence of a figure, but if anything, it is a bit of poltergeist activity, but no other stories beyond that I'm aware of.
Well, Angela and I were in the servants' hall in the old laundry, and Angela wanted some photographs taken of her and the horse. So I got my mobile phone out and I started to take photographs, and I said, oh, hang on a minute. I said, there's light coming in from the window. And I said, we'll have to move around the horse a bit and stop this light from coming in. And every time I moved and Angela moved, the light came in from a different place altogether. So we thought, this is a bit strange. So we were actually trying to make the light come. Anyway, we carried on taking the photographs around, and for a while we lost the light and then it came back again. So we said, right, well, it could be that the light's attached to the horse in some way. So I said, we'll just take pictures of the horse. Anyway, there was nothing at all. So I said, well, it could be something to do with you, Angela. So I took pictures of Angela and absolutely nothing at all. And then as we were going round, the light appeared again in a different place. And the next thing that happened was I was standing focusing on the horse, and all I can describe is almost like a torpedo-like effect coming from where I was standing, heading towards the horse, and then going over the saddle and then out through the door. And we said, well, that's it, it's gone, whatever it is, it's gone. And so we took pictures all the way around the room, and there was no more light, and it was amazing. We believe this horse was the horse of Margaret Pennington, who was the daughter of Gamble Pennington, who died sadly aged 11. So we don't know whether there was an attachment because we brought the horse down and we were replenishing it, so to speak, restoring it. Whether or not she was playing with us, we don't know.
Now, I had a really interesting experience here back in 1995. I was in the tapestry room. I'd been there for about 45 minutes, and we're coming up to a break period where we would usually all go for coffee. I'd got a bit of a headache while I was sat in the room, and I decided to stay in there a little bit longer. At this point, one of my colleagues on the case was coming from the area she'd been covering and returning to the area where we would be having refreshment. As she was walking along, she noticed that the person in front of her turned away from the room where the coffee was and actually came into the tapestry room. And then she realised that she didn't actually know who she was following. Meanwhile, in the room, the door was slightly ajar. I was sat at the back near the window. I saw a black silhouette figure walk through the door, walk down the whole length of the room, and I presume straight through me, because everything went a shade of blue. It was like a blue filter was put in front of my face. The investigator, who'd been following this figure along the corridor, then popped her head round the door and asked who she'd just followed in. And that was rather nerve-wracking.
We've just come into the tapestry room, which is the most haunted place in this whole castle. So we've started picking stuff up straight away. Like, Isabella is freezing, so I'm gonna try and feel where the energy is. Where about
My whole lower body is absolutely freezing.
around?
I feel like it's rising. It's touching my arms now as well, on my hands. No, it's in the front. It's in the front.
Really?
Yeah,
It's between us.
it's like there.
Oh wait, oh yeah, oh there.
Isn't that freezing?
It's literally, I think it's a child, to be honest. It's this height. How tall does it go?
Not very tall.
No.
Only
It's there, it's this, it starts here.
Oh my god! Look at my arms. I've got goosebumps on my arms.
It's a little girl and she's reaching up and doing this to you. That's why.
For some reason, spirit children always seem to like touch me a lot or grab onto me. I'm freezing. I'm actually freezing.
Oh my god. Oh my. Really? I need to lie down. What's going on? Simon? Oh my god.
What's happening? Why are you doing that?
Simon!
Talk to us, Jenny. What's happening?
I can't move my body. I feel like my body is oh my god. I don't know. I can't breathe.
Yeah, you can breathe. You can breathe. You're just channeling.
Jenny, you're okay.
Don't panic.
Jenny, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
Who do you think you're channeling, Jenny?
Jenny, you okay?
Do you want me to snap you out of it? Do you want me to snap you out of it, Jenny?
Yes.
Okay. Turn the cameras off.
I can't I'm still shaking her off. She's just really upset. Isabella, are you okay? It's okay. I think...
You're doing that face again.
Why is my face moving like this again? Oh no. Why move though?
What are you feeling?
Really sad.
About what?
I don't know.
About who?
I don't know. I'm so cold. My legs are really cold. She's touching me, isn't she, Jenny? She's left me. She's standing right behind me. I can feel her. Now she just moved to the front. Taking it. I think because me and Isabella are empaths, we don't just take in energy, we also give out energy. It's like an exchange. So when we come to these places and there's a spirit and it starts connecting with us, it takes our energy, so it gets stronger, so its reaction is stronger. My face is still upside down, isn't it? Okay, but makeup's been smudged a bit. The tears.
For the final part of our investigation here at Muncaster Castle in the Lake District, we're going to spend the night. I'm going to sleep in the tapestry room, which has been reported with the crying of Margaret Pennington, who died when she was 11, and there's been rattling of doorknobs, the sound of a thud, which is supposed to be Tom Skelton dragging the headless corpse of the man he just murdered, the carpenter, down the stairs, and I'm going to sleep in it. So that should be interesting. And the girls are going to sleep next door, and we're going to compare notes. And what's happened before when I've slept in a place like this is that I don't do much sleeping. And for some reason, the energy in these places, even if there's nothing happening, even if you don't hear anything, the energy just seems to keep you awake. And I have a funny feeling that's going to be the case here. So Isabel, I thought we'd check out the guard room, which seems like a very atmospheric room. And I thought we'd get Jenny down here and just sit for a bit and see what happens. Sound good?
Hi guys! Whoa, it's loud.
That door's really loud. Hey, you okay?
Yep.
Thanks for joining us in the spooky room.
It's a pleasure.
Don't you feel like, I feel like I'm about to go on a roller coaster, that's what my heart feels like. What?
What? It's okay. I think this room is really male heavy. Like I feel like they're probably not happy there's females in here. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Be strong. You're strong, independent woman.
I'm
You don't
strong.
need no male spirit to force you out.
I'm strong.
I thought we might as well try the full arsenal of gadgets. This measures the temperature of the walls, and I'm just going to take a kind of a benchmark of, what is it, 16.1, just to see if that fluctuates, because I find that when spirit is working, the temperature of the walls actually drops. and that is dropping down to 15.6. So that's already dropped half a degree while I've been talking. Down to 15.1, 15. Something is happening. That's just dropped over a degree centigrade. 14.7, 14.6. Guys, there's something happening in this room without us even realizing. 14.1, 14. So that's dropped 2 degrees. 13.8. This is crashing. It's amazing. Paranormal investigators will understand what we just saw there, and everybody can see that temperature pointing at that one piece of wall up on the above the wood cornicing there dropped 6 degrees centigrade in 3 minutes, and it's got really cold in this room. I mean, I think any minute now my breath's going to start to condense. All we had to do was to walk in. It's quite incredible. And I think that when the temperature drops like that, it's because spirit is manifesting and taking the energy out of the fabric of the room, and it does it with people so that it can appear. So I think something's about to happen. Temperature drops are a precursor for something happening. To everybody who watches this show, they will be familiar with what this dowsing crystal will do when there's spirit around. So I'm just tuning in now through my crystal and asking it to show me what the energy in this room is. And when it goes from side to side like that, that means that there is a presence of spirit. And the stronger it does it, and the faster it does it, the more active the room is. And as you can see, that is pretty accurately fast. So Isabella, what I want to do is to focus in on the energy that's here. I know you don't want to because you're scared of it, but okay, let's just do that. Let's just focus in on who's here and ask them to do something to show us that they are here. I can smell horses. So I think that this gentleman is a very keen equestrian.
I can feel how the spirit was killed. I have a really large pain in just under my shoulder blade on my left side, and I can imagine the width of the blade being maybe about this, and coming right out the front through my lung, and the handle having going back in itself, so that'd be like a cutlass. Yeah, it's not comfortable.
So if you are the gentleman in the painting from the Pennington Hall of Fame in the family room where all the paintings of all the family are, can you show us that? Can you confirm that it's you who was fighting the duel, who won the duel at a time when duels were illegal, naughty, naughty man, and you were then stabbed in the back by your assailant, or your opponent, stabbed you through the back, through the lung, under the rib cage. I can feel that. Mm-hmm. I can see the thing he used. I can see the long, thin...
Did it have a really big, extravagant handle?
Like a cutlass.
Curved back in itself?
Like a cutlass, yeah.
These are the paintings of the Duke of Hamilton's brothers. The Duke himself is not here, but the Duke of Hamilton is the spirit that we picked up in the guards room, the one who was a duelist and who was stabbed in the back. This whole room is actually dedicated to the Hamilton family.
It's quite nice, isn't it? A whole room dedicated to your family.
Yeah, actually, all the portraits bear a really strong resemblance, so it's really easy to imagine what the spirit looks like from another room.
Definitely, definitely. He sort of looks like he's got a bit of like a smile on his face. Almost as if he's sort of like, hey girls. I feel like he's got a bit of a cheeky.
They look charming.
Yeah, very charming. They've got charming.
Aware of their power.
Yeah. I feel like he would have been quite charming with the ladies.
Which is probably why he liked you.
Maybe. I feel like I just have this charming vibe from them.
So do you remember me saying that I wasn't getting any reading on my tri-field meter, my electromagnetic field meter at all? Well, get a load of that. Now, this won't mean much to people who aren't into their electromagnetic fields, and some say that electromagnetic fields have nothing to do with spirit activity. I would beg to disagree, because A, that is fluctuating quite a lot. To me, that is not an alternating current, which is what we use in lights around the home, which gives a steady, unwavering reading. My theory is that ghosts use electromagnetic energy to manifest, to connect with us, to tell us things, to give us smells, which I've encountered a lot, and sensations, so that we know that they're there. And what's really fascinating is that as it's got darker, this reading has got higher, and the amount of power that's being pulled here is the same. The lights that we've got on have been the same for the last 2 hours, so nothing's changed apart from this reading. The last thing we're going to try tonight before we turn in for the evening is to get Jenny to do one of her magic charcoal drawings in the tapestry room, which seems to be so active.
I do spirit drawings, which means that I let spirit reveal themselves and use my hands to show me their faces so we can find out who they are and who's in the room. Now we're in the tapestry room, which is where I connected with the little girl earlier. So I'm not sure if she'll still be here, probably, or if we'll get someone else that'll come out. So let's see what happens. I need to connect first and see. Oh my god, I know who this is. I think this is Tom Skeleton.
Well, we are 20 feet from his portrait.
Stop it. Oh my god, I think he wants to... Stop it. Stop. I feel like when I touch the picture, that's when he's connecting with me. He's just having fun. That's what he's doing. He's just messing with me because it's funny.
Well, let's go and hold it up next to his portrait. What do you think, Tom? Is that you? Well, it's now the morning after. I've tidied up and got all my gear out of the bedroom and we're about to go. But I have nothing particularly paranormal to report, I don't think. I didn't hear any groaning or clanking or bumping or anything like that. Just couldn't sleep. And there was something that was refusing to let me go to sleep until 4:30 this morning. And I lay here in pitch dark, total silence, total darkness, something that I know has scared a few people from paranormal groups who've been here before to investigate it, and they've done a runner basically. But I was fine, I felt quite relaxed, but I couldn't sleep. I could not get myself to sleep, and every time I was just about to nod off, something would kind of give me like a mental poke and wake me up again. There were a couple of times where I jumped awake, where I thought that I'd heard something creaking, but I mean, that may have just been my imagination, or I might have dreamt it. But something kept on waking me up. There were a lot of spirits floating about, and I could feel them coming in. And I was trying not to connect with them because I wanted to sleep, but something was not letting me do it. Was it the Fool? Was it the Thomas Skelton ghost? Was it something? Was it little Margaret? Was it the headless carpenter? Was it one of them? Maybe it was all of them. There was definitely something very present about them, but nothing specific like a clank to report. And one other really strange thing that happened was I had this dream when I did finally go to sleep that I was floating above Jenny and Isabella, and I was sort of pulling this grey mist out of them. It's really random. But I was floating in midair in their room next door and pulling this grey mist out of them, which I think from what I can remember about the dream, it was something not good. It was something that needed to come out of them. And I couldn't communicate with them in the normal way. I couldn't speak to them. It's like I was a different creature. But I was sitting there in midair pulling this grey stuff out of both of them. So I'll check in with them and ask them and see what dreams they had and when they went to sleep, because we haven't had a chance to speak yet. And we'll compare notes.
At one point, I could feel a cold energy beside me on the bed. And I kept putting my arms through it like this to try and feel the difference in temperatures. And actually, Isabella kept going like that to me. Jenny, stop messing with it. Just ignore it. Pretend it's not there.
So true. I said that so many times. I saw a lot of spirits floating around different parts of the room, and I sort of just ignore them, pretend they weren't there. Because when you want to sleep, you don't really want to connect with them. You just want to have a rest. Then when you wake up, you see how he feels. But that wasn't a very nice.
Though, interestingly, I had to wake this one up because she was breathing like this. Which is not normal, is it? Yeah, so I woke you up, and it actually turns out she was having a bad dream. I mean, go figure.
That's really weird. I basically had this really weird dream. I must have been asleep for 10 minutes?
Yeah,
it was
less. She was sleeping for less than 10 minutes.
So I had a really, really deep, profound dream as if I'd been sleeping for hours. It was basically, I was sort of laying on the bed. Jenny was on the right-hand side, I was on the left-hand side. And Simon was sitting towards the middle to left of the end of the bed. So he was sort of sitting and his hands were floating above me as if he was sort of doing this, over my body. And I could feel him taking something out of me. I could feel something coming out of me. And my whole body was having a seizure. It was really strange. It was shaking. It was really weird. And I remember just after Simon finished taking whatever out of me, I was really panicking in my dream because I felt really scared. And in my dream, I was doing those breaths, which is really strange. I was in my dream, because I was really freaking out that I don't know what had just happened. And that's when you woke me up, I guess.
Yeah, so I woke her up at that point, but it's really interesting because last night we discovered about the little girl, Margaret, who actually died from seizures. So it's really interesting that Isabella's then had a dream where she's been having a seizure.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah.
Very, very strange.
You were probably connecting with it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
This always sort of happens when you sleep in a place that has lots of activity. For some reason, when you sleep, you sort of travel. You can sort of cross dimensions and they can sort of connect with you in different ways. I mean, people alive can do it. There's astral bodies can connect with each other. But that was really quite horrible, actually.
Yeah. I wonder what Simon would say about it.
I'm going to go tell him.
Yeah, actually, go tell him.
See what he says. Oh, God. Wish me luck, guys.
It's probably going to say, ooh, spooky. I bet you he slept like a baby.
Come in. Hey, Isabella.
Hey.
How did you sleep?
Really, really badly. Not good at all.
Me too. I'm just taking this reading, or trying to take a reading off the bed after I saw what happened with the magnetic compass that Peter had.
Yeah.
To see if it's going to get any reading with the trifield meter, with the electromagnetic field type of reading, but there's absolutely nothing here at all. I mean, there's very little power, electrical power in this place, which is why the lighting's so bad, but there's just nothing going on at all. So you slept really bad. I slept really badly too.
So badly. Me and Jenny literally did not sleep whatsoever. It's really weird. I actually had a dream about you.
Yeah. In your dreams?
You popped into my dream. It wasn't a very nice one though.
Oh.
Sorry.
What happened?
I was like, Jenny was on the right hand side, I was on the left hand side. We were sort of quite close to each other sleeping. You were sitting on the bed towards the end of the bed.
Right.
And you sort of had your hands like above me, like this. You were sort of like doing that like on top of me with your hands. But you were like, I could feel something coming out of me. You were like pulling something out of me. I don't know what you were doing. And my whole body was like shaking as if I were having sort of like a weird sort of like seizure or something. Like
wow.
She was shaking loads. And I was in my dream, just after you finished, I started like breathing really quickly as if I was panicking like a... And Jenny actually said that she woke me up because I was doing really strange breaths. She woke me up, she's like, are you okay?
Well, I've got something kind of strange to tell you.
What?
When I eventually managed to fall asleep, I can't remember when it was, but whenever I managed to fall asleep, I had this really strange dream about you and Jenny, where I was floating over your bed in there, and I was taking all this kind of grey muck out of your body. It's like I was sort of hoovering it out, but I couldn't speak to you because it was like we weren't the same creatures. Like I couldn't say, hey, I'm just doing some hoovering here.
Yeah.
I was taking this stuff out of your body, but it was like I was a different creature because I couldn't speak your language. It's that there wasn't sort of like a connection, but there was a connection with this grey stuff, and I was taking it out of your body. How weird is that?
That's so weird. That's really weird.
Well, that's the end of a very long and arduous 24 hours at Muncaster Castle, where we stayed the night and we had the opportunity to connect with several spirits here, one of whom we think was this gentleman standing behind me, Thomas Skelton, aka Tom Fool, the Headless Carpenter, and a little girl who we do feel very strongly was the ghost of Margaret Pennington, who died so tragically here at the age of 11. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Join us next time on Ghost Next Door.